Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and it's time to call to order our Cannabis Control Authority Board of Directors meeting. And with the meeting in order here, a determination of a quorum is next here. We do have three members present in person, and we do have one member who, Michael Massey, who is participating virtually today. So we do have a quorum. And next is our approval of our agenda today. Any questions reference our agenda for today? With no questions, do I have a motion to approve our agenda? Do I have a second? I have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? And next we'll have approval of our previous meeting minutes that was conducted on May 7th. Is there any questions to reference our May 7th meeting? Okay, with no questions, do I have a motion to approve our previous meetings minutes? Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And approved. And next we'll get going right into our presentations here. We'll have our remote participation policy and Sean, I believe you have that.
So as you all know, we're required by statute to have a remote participation policy and to reapprove it every year. So this is the same exact remote participation policy as approved last August. We are presenting it a little bit earlier this year just to try to get on a cycle of having the policy approved effective for the whole fiscal year, just to make it easier for record keeping. So nothing has changed from last year, same requirements.
Approve the remote policy. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve our remote participation policy? I guess I should ask if there's any questions first. I'm sorry.
I have one question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should ask for any questions first.
This may have changed after the pandemic, but I know originally there was, statute on this, like on the state laws saying that you have to provide the reason that you missed the meeting. So is that like still the case? You have to provide the nature of the emergency?
So sorry to interrupt.
Public is-
So now it's separated between sort of an emergency meeting requirement or just a general remote participation or virtual meeting. And they give 4 categories of reasons that they have to give. It's medical conditions, of board member or family, even living more than 60 miles away, or any personal matter, but you can only use that one on a more limited basis, 25% of the meetings. So you do have to give a broad reason for the remote participation.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, thank you. And any other questions in reference our remote participation policy? Okay, with no more questions, do I have a motion to approve our remote participation policy?
So moved.
And all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, our remote participation policy for, again, is the update is approved. And next we'll have our systems update from the CCA staff and Jamie, I believe you're participating in that.
That's correct. Good afternoon. Just a brief update on our system implementations. As you know, we are in the middle of implementing 2 systems. So our seed to sales system is being implemented by a company named Metric, and our licensing system is being implemented by a company called Tyler Technologies. So I just want to touch on each one and give you a brief update. With Metric, we are currently anticipating a go live date of July 1st for that. We had a kickoff session May 8th for all of our licensees, and they're currently in the system. They gained access once that date or once the timeline is over, which is June 30, then they can only load product by going through the full life cycle of inventory, right? It starts seed all the way to sale. So this is the initial window of the preload of all of the products. As any simple system implementation goes, there are bumps along the road. We're learning things or finding out things. We're addressing them as they come along. I think it has been a good process of going through this and for our processors and our lab to give us feedback. So we're getting some good feedback on that. We've been making adjustments as necessary. But the majority of the processors are in a good place. They feel like they're going to be fine on the deadline to have everything loaded by June 30th so they can begin using the system effectively July 1st. There is a demo session. And our CCA staff has a training in 2 weeks where we will get some more hands-on training in an actual facility of how the system works and interacts. Some cool things that we will gain from it. For example, all of the products or the plants will have RFID tags. So our inspectors will be able to stand in a room with the RFID gun and get an immediate count of the number of plants in the room. Make sure it matches with inventory. The system inventory says it's supposed to be. A lot more um, tools than we had before. So previously we were relying when we go out on those inspections, looking at paper sheets that have counts, looking at how many thousands of plants might be in that room. But now this will be a much more resource friendly type setup. Quantity and dollar value of sales. We expect to be able to see that. The system is going to prevent sales of anything that didn't come through that full life cycle. So it's going to prevent any kind of product entering accidentally into the dispensaries. And we will be able to run reports that show us, plant count by facility or sales by facility, sales for a certain date, sales for a certain time window. We're going to gain a lot more data from this than we've ever had before, and hopefully use it to inform our regulations and guidance going forward. So on the other side, we have Tyler. So Tyler is the licensing system, and that's going to come on board and give us new technology for the licensees to use for their renewal process and their application process. It's also going to allow the existing licensees to submit product application requests. And so we'll have a mechanism for that. And practitioners will be able to use that system to issue written certifications. Right now, we use a different system for that called BioTrack, but not all practitioners are using that. They're also using paper forms. And as you can imagine, we do see some fraud in that process, and we are looking to close up the loopholes there so that we don't have that. The other benefit as the finance person, I will say, is the Tyler system will allow us to receive electronic payments for all of those methods, whereas right now we do receive a lot of checks and don't have the ability to receive the electronic payments for everything. So we're excited about that as well. The anticipated go live for Tyler is approximately a month for the initial phase, and the initial phase is written certifications in the system. So new patients or patients that are getting a new written certification, the practitioners will be able to issue those in the system. So we're working towards that date, but don't have an actual date. We anticipate in about a month that that's going to come along. Are there any questions for me? Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'll say that again. Thank you, Jamie, for that update.
It's really to the staff because they're carrying the load of getting the
Very
system
good.
implemented.
Very good. And next we'll have an update on our engagement update, and that's going to be with Brianna.
Hello, everyone. I am going to give you a brief update on our engagement efforts. Can I control from here? Love a visual, so I do have a few visuals when it changes over. Ta-da! I will, oh, okay. It's slow. It's slow. It's fine. Oh, one back. There we go. Okay. To start on events and presentations, throughout the fiscal year. I know the fiscal year isn't over yet, but to give you an overview of what the fiscal year is looking to end with, we have been very active across the state. We've been participating in conferences, webinars, meetings, presentations, exhibit tabling as well at various conferences and events as well. And these are all events put on by your local community coalitions, community services boards, other state agencies, business organizations, youth prevention groups as well. So we've been pretty active across the board on different types of events and presentations here. You can see that in fiscal year 24, our total number of events that we went to was 23. And we're looking to have about the same for this year. We're just shy of that number with 21 total for this current fiscal year as of today. But you can see the number of presentation attendees has grown between our past two or our past and current fiscal years. So we have been out there more and presenting to a grander audience. And that is to note that the presentation is solely number of formal presentation attendees. It's not counting the number of people we've interacted with through exhibit tabling and items like that. So there's truly just the number of people in chairs as we're presenting, whether virtually or in person. And then on our right, I did a little geographic distribution for you just to show the areas of the state that we've been in, using the health service areas as our regions. You can see that we've had a fairly equal distribution on HSAs 1, 3, and 4. And then we could spend more time, relatively speaking, up in Northern Virginia. But we also had a presentation up in Maryland as well this year. So it's also worth noting that just because the presentations are in certain regions, again, they're conferences that are statewide often bringing in people from other states as well. So just because we're traveling to one region of the state does not mean we're not reaching others in that area during these presentations and events as well. Oh, sorry. Okay. Going on to resource distribution. When I'm talking resource distribution here, it is truly just the number of educational resources that we have physically handed out. So physical copies, not counting our resource downloads on our website. So these are resources that we have distributed through our exhibit tabling, as well as at presentations or through resource orders that we have received as well. You can see on our line graph here that we have a little ebb and flow in terms of seasonality when it comes to our resource distribution. And it is worth noting that starting in February, that is when we launched our resource order form on the website. So you can see there's a boost heavy in the spring there with the number of resources that we have distributed. And these resources have been distributed to, again, your community coalitions, your community services boards. We've had enforcement offices reach out as well. We've had some colleges as well as K through 12 counties as well that have reached out for these resources. And you can see our peak number of resources happened just last month in May. We distributed almost 8,000 there. That was also the month that we had the highest number of events. About a third of our events happened in the month of May. So it seems to be the busy season for conferences and events and all of that. And then I put there on the left just a couple positive quotes. It's always nice to receive any type of feedback, but it's nice to see some positive work out there as well. These came from our resource order form, and we don't directly ask for any feedback. These were just quotes that people had given us in regards to how they heard about our resources. So it's nice to see that we are getting out there in the community and these resources are being distributed, not only to community level organizations, but they are then passing those out to members of the public as well. And so this distribution in total is about 17,000 resources for the year. And that is way up from last year, which was about 5,000 resources. But last fiscal year, we were newly printing our resources. So that is part of the reason our resources have gone up. And then in terms of what's next, we have several upcoming events. These are only the ones that are happening between this board meeting and the next board meeting. So please know that we also have some events that are coming up late August into the fall as well. But these events cover K through 12 health and physical education, teacher conferences, school resource officers will be the majority of attendees at this school safety training forum that we will be tabling at and distributing resources at again this year. We do plan to talk to UVA toxicology, getting into the medical space a bit to talk medical cannabis and those cannabis laws in the state. And then continuing our work with safe driving and those safe driving partners, we will be at Drive Smart Virginia's Distracted Driving Summit, handing out resources and doing the good work that is protecting safe driving. Oh, sorry. Did you want to go ahead?
First of all, do you have I'm very interested in that UVA toxicology presentation. Is that some type of conference that they're having or?
That is just a presentation.
Okay.
So that'll be to their toxicology department in the school of or in their medical
Okay.
hospital. Mhm.
Okay. And also, I just want to commend the CCA staff, and we run into each other almost every event now.
sure
As my doing the roadway safety consulting with the Virginia Chiefs, but I have to say that your presentations have been well received at both the Virginia Chiefs Conference with over 100 chiefs and sheriffs, and also the Virginia DMV Highway Safety Summit in Virginia Beach there too, with over 200 roadway safety stakeholders. Your presentations have been well received.
Thank you.
I'd
Yeah, we
also-
have John checking up on us.
I'd also like to add, one of the things that we really kicked off this spring was an enhanced effort for our education and outreach and really put a focus on relationships and building relationships with those community partners. And so Brandon mentioned new positions on this slide, and I just want to point out they are new positions in that they are newly created to us, but they're not new positions. So what we did was we had some vacant positions and we decided that they were more appropriately used for this particular category. And so we reallocated them to education and outreach instead of what they were previously, so that we had the staff and resources to make this drive and really get the message out there about what cannabis in the Commonwealth really looks like and clear up some of the misconceptions and just reach people where they are for education. Because that's one of the things that we see right now is just there's so much misinformation and very few people actually understand what's going on. So we're going to do our best to get that information out there.
That's very true because the cannabis is pretty much a hot topic in every conference that you go to, especially when you see them coming up in Drive Smart with distracted driving. And also in Chicago, the IACP has a big conference on impaired driving, and it's pretty much cannabis is in many of the topic areas.
Yes, and with the new positions too, we are hoping that we can not only attend and participate in other conferences and events that are across the state, but also anticipate and proactively plan for outreach events more in-house as well, and really cater to stakeholder needs and anticipate those needs. So making sure that people know to come to us and that we're also going to them.
Very good. Any questions of Brianna? Thank you, Brianna, so much, and thank you
Thank
for all
you.
your hard work.
Thanks.
And next, we'll have a update on our budget and finance with Jamie.
So back to me. Just the main thing I want to cover here is to present the FY26 budget to you for approval. But just a brief update on procurement. We mentioned before we are in the procurement process for the next iteration of the state. It is still in process, and we do expect an award in the next week or two. All right, so let's look at the FY25 versus 26 budget. So your top table, the blue, that's what you've currently approved for us. And then the bottom table, the gray, is what we're asking for the year that begins on July 1st. You will see in the middle the non-general fund column, so approved budget, non-general fund. NGF. That category is going to remain the same for both years. That is the spending that is supported by fees. And so we definitely have to be really careful with that money and ensure that we don't spend more than we receive. And we anticipate expenditures remaining about the same there. On the GF is general fund. That's the money that we get from the state. Our approved budget for FY25 was $4,028,024. You will see an increase in spending in the FY26 proposal. This is for a couple of reasons. One is because it now incorporates the seed to sale cost. So the General Assembly had appropriated additional money to us for the seed to sale system. And so you're seeing that reflected there. It's a separate pot of money from our normal appropriation, but it is there available for our use. The other thing you're seeing is some one-time cost for system implementation for both of the systems or for the licensing system that's going in as well. And so there is a little forward. So as an independent agency, we are reappropriated money that we don't spend in the previous year. We actually are looking at several $1,000,000 in reappropriated funds, but we are not asking to spend all of that. So it's just a small amount of the overall carry forward that we have available to us. But you'll see, so we are going from 4 million to close to 4.9 million. And I don't anticipate those are ongoing annual costs. They will be one time. So, um, if there are any questions about any of those categories or what's in there, I'm happy to answer them. I think most of you have been through before what the different categories stand for, but I am happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Jamie, reference our finance and budget update.
Chair, I have a question. So on the personnel services, I assume that you budgeted an increase, right, for staff? Is it a certain percentage, or just curious how you're handling that?
So the statewide increase that is actually going into effect for Robin, the statewide increase goes into effect in this next pay cycle. And we get additional money from the state to cover that, but it was 3%. Is that right? 3%
Cool.
for staff.
So we match the state.
We do. We
Okay,
match
that
the
was my
state with
question,
what they do.
basically.
We also do an annual like a compensation analysis where we look at all the positions and make sure they're still relatively close to market. And we make adjustments there if needed. But in the overall grand scheme of the budget, it's a very small amount that happens for.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Reference our budget and finance update.
Falls under continuous charges because it went down, and I didn't think anything in budgets usually went down.
So continuous charges has rent in there, which we negotiated a better deal on rent in this spot than we did previously. And so you're seeing some of that reflected. Just looking to see if there's anything else that I'm not thinking about in that category, but yeah, it's mostly rent that you're seeing the reflection there of the decrease.
Hey, I think that's any other further questions? Okay, we are good. Thank you, Jamie, for that update on our budget and finance.
You're welcome.
Okay, at
We
this
need a
ti-
vote. We do need a vote.
What's that again?
We need a vote on the budget.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if the board wishes to do the same thing we did before. We received approval on the budget with the allowance for a 10% variation amongst categories, but not the overall total. And we would prefer that if possible, or at the board's discretion.
Give that in with your 10%.
So what we would look for is a motion to approve the budget as presented,
Okay.
with the acknowledgement that the budget may, amongst categories, may flex plus or minus 10% without coming back to the board for additional approval.
I think I got all that.
I can,
I'll do my best here. Okay, do we have any questions, of Jamie, in reference to that last comment? Okay, with that said, I'd like to get approval of our budget as presented today, with that plus or minus 10% variance without coming back to the board for approval. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, the budget as presented has been approved. Okay. Next, I will open up the public comment period. I will read a brief statement here before I open up the period for public comment. The CCA board and staff value public input. People who would like to speak before the board must submit their intention to do so in a form available on the CCA website. The form must be submitted no later than 24 hours before the scheduled board meeting. The form also allows the submission of written comments to the board. The board will now turn the request to comments that we've received on a timely basis. As a reminder, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. So our first request in person to speak today is, I have it as Mo S. Do I have Mo here? MOE. Okay, Mo. And next, but do we have a virtual participant today? Okay, and would that be Sarah Payne? Okay, we're looking to open the floor for Sarah Payne, who will participate remotely in this public comment period. You there, Sarah?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah, you have 3 minutes. Here.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I can't figure out how to get my video on. I'm so sorry. Um, but I just wanted to thank the board and staff, particularly for the time and effort that's gone into bringing a seed to sale tracking system to CCA and to the program, and for getting it, ready to be up and running. I know that there have been some challenges and some hiccups along the way, and really grateful for everybody's patience in this. And I know we are excited for it to go live. We think it's a really important part of the program, and the transparency is invaluable to the state and to all politicians' constituents. We also appreciate, as I think Jamie mentioned earlier, that there are inevitable hiccups along the way when you implement new systems. And so, we would just respectfully request that perhaps a CCA consider a grace period relating to enforcement actions as that system comes online and begins to operate sort of exclusively as the tracking system for this program, so that we can effectively work collaboratively and expeditiously to get any bugs worked out, and not have any system challenges impact patient services and patient care. So thank you so much for the time. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody may have, but really a huge thanks again to staff for getting this process sort of all teed up and ready to go.
Okay, again, Sarah, thank you for your comments today, and thanks for participating in our meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, and do we have I don't believe we have anyone else online. So at this time, I will close the public comment period. And with that being said, I believe we've gone through our agenda. Okay. And so with no further business conducted, the Virginia CCA Board of Directors meeting is hereby adjourned. Take care. All right, that was quick.
yeah, I'm telling John I have multiple things lined up.